Alright, this is John Cola with GrowingYourGreens.com to have another exciting episode for you. Today I'm here in Miami, Florida, and I'm at the home of the Little River Cooperative Urban Farm and Nursery here in Miami. And in this episode, I'm going to share with you guys how you guys can grow lettuce in South Florida here. Yes, you can grow lettuce. It can be done. They are growing lettuce right here. There's some very important tips that you guys want to know, and that's what I'm going to share with you guys in this video. I know a lot of you guys living in Florida, South Florida, have maybe moved up from the north, from Vermont, New York, wherever you're from, right? And you want to eat the same crops that you grew there. Well, yes, you can do it here in South Florida, and that's why the Little River Cooperative is here, because they're here to literally hold your hand and teach you guys how to grow lettuce as well as other amazing vegetables, annual vegetables, edible flowers, herbs, and even perennial vegetables in the summer season. Right now it is January, and January is the time that you could be eating your own lettuce here in Miami out of your very garden. You could probably still start them right now, but you gotta grow them in the wintertime. That's tip number one, right? Things are very seasonal here. In the summertime it gets really hot and you won't be growing these exact same vegetables. They have a whole other class of vegetables, more perennial vegetables that you'll grow then. And guess what? At their nursery, they will sell you the plant starts in the appropriate season at the right time and the specific varieties so that you could be successful. If you just get some random seeds online or save seeds from the north and brought them down here to grow, they may or may not work because of the, different climate and the warmer weather down here. So that's what this episode is going to be all about. What you guys could grow here in the winter time in South Florida based on the seeds they're selling and also based on the plants they're selling in their nursery. That being said, I want to show you guys their little demonstration garden. Right when you walk up to their place, they have a few raised beds. They have a few wooden raised beds and they have a few metal raised beds. So I'm going to take you guys around to the raised beds and show you guys what they're growing in their demonstration garden. So this is their demonstration garden, which shows you what you guys can grow in the exact season. So when you come here, right, you're going to see, hey, they're growing lettuce. That means I could grow lettuce, right? And I just attended one of their classes, and that's the tip number one, is you want to learn from somebody that has been doing it here. I listen to the owner, one of the co-owners, give a class who has been growing here for many years and started the nursery to help you guys grow your own food. So step number one is don't think you know it all because you grew up in Vermont and you gardened there for 20 years before you moved to South Florida to retire, right? You have to take a class down here so you can learn the very specific techniques. I learned the very specific techniques that I would need to know to grow down here, right? And a lot of things are similar, but there's a lot that's different. And one of the most important things I learned today, of course, is the timing. The timing on when you plant your plants could make all the difference whether you succeed or fail. So what they do is every season, so 4 times a year, they'll give you the garden class for that season. So when it's the summertime, they're going to give you the summer gardening class. When it's the fall, they're going to teach you how to build a raised bed. They're going to teach you about the cover crops at the right time of year. And of course, I'm here in the winter garden season. They kind of gave me the basic gardening class, which even for me, because I know so much, was a really good refresher. But even then, I learned tidbits of this, tidbits of that I had no idea about. So the gardener even enlightened me, and I have a gardening channel. So that's always nice when I'm like, man, this lady, she knows her stuff. So yeah, and you can see, even the gardening class, right, she goes into the details, even how to harvest. So actually she harvested some of the lettuce that was up here. She clear cut this one. She showed people how to clear cut it, how to harvest. She talked about how to put the fertilizer in, the soil to use, about the irrigation, the watering. She talked about like basically everything you would need to know. So I highly recommend one of the garden classes that they teach here. A link down below to their website, which is littlerivercooperative.com. And you want to sign up for their email list so you get notified when they have their next class. And I would definitely recommend you attend it. It's gonna be money well spent. So as you guys can see, they got different varieties of lettuce. One of their favorite varieties is the Salanova lettuce. We'll be talking about that when we go into the nursery there. So they got a bunch of lettuces here, and then they have some of the red stem dandelion. The red stem dandelion, one of my favorite dandelions to grow. It's a lot more nutritious than the standard green dandelion, and they're basically cutting it and then it continues to grow for the season. Next, let's go ahead and move over to this 8-foot by 4 foot long raised bed to show you guys what they have planted. All right, so this is an 8 foot by 4 foot raised bed, and they are highly in favor of the raised bed gardening system. If you guys have never gardened before or want to grow here in South Florida, I mean, number one, the soil here is basically like sand, or depending on where you live, it could be even rocky or corally or whatever. So build a raised bed and fill it with some good soil. If you need to have the raised bed higher because you cannot bend down, then build the raised bed higher or get one of their kits that they offer here. And then you could fill up the bottom with something like, logs or whatever to, so you don't have to buy as much soil to put into it. And then you want to plant it out. And so I learned a few things that they do here, which is very interesting. So like the easiest 2 crops to grow here in South Florida are herbs and greens, right? I want you guys to grow your own herbs, because herbs, I don't know if you guys price herbs like at Whole Foods lately. They come in little plastic containers and they're like $3 and you get 2 sprigs of basil or 2 sprigs of fennel or whatever, right? And herbs are one of the easiest things to grow, and they will grow in many cases year round depending on the herb you grow. So for example, they got some oregano here, and one of the tips she gave in the class, which I had never heard before, is, hey, plant your herbs in the corner of your raised bed. So when you clear out your raised bed, right, you could kind of keep the corner and you could keep that growing. So like, don't plant the herbs in the middle of the raised bed. I mean, the thing I do is I just have a whole raised bed dedicated to just herbs, right? But if you want to intermix and you only have one raised bed, then definitely planting them at the edge. Of course, there's also edible flowers in here, which I encourage you guys to grow edible flowers. They can make a salad look really nice. Also, they can attract beneficial insects, such as a sweet alyssum here. She also has other kinds of herbs, and you can see also they have some cabbage, broccoli in there. They got some tulsi basil, some fennel, some tomatillos as well. And they got the sorrel and the bloody dock, or the red vein sorrel as well. I mean, this thing is packed to the gills with lots of food that you could be harvesting out of your own yard. All right, so yet here is another demonstration bed. This one's about 4 feet by about 8 feet, and actually it's made out of the metal. They have a very simple, easy put together kit you guys can build. Now, if you ask me, John, what do you recommend, a metal bed or a wooden bed? Well, the question I would ask you is, how long are you going to be at your place? If you're renting your place and you know you're going to be out of there in 3 years, right? Put in a wooden bed. They're probably going to rot in a couple, 3 years. And it's, you have to either replace it or whatever, but if you're moving out anyways, it doesn't really matter. That being said, if you want to invest and make an investment in your garden, then I recommend, especially here in South Florida where it rains so much and there's a lot of bugs and creatures that basically don't go dormant because it doesn't freeze, I'd recommend a metal raised bed here. And you can see they're using some of the same techniques in the wooden raised bed. They planted some of the oregano, the Cuban oregano here on the corner that kind of trails over the edge. They have other herbs like the cilantro, and they got different kinds of arugula, which is growing really nice. I mean, the prices here for organic produce in South Florida is some of the most expensive prices that I've seen in the continental United States. So if it makes sense anywhere to grow your own greens, like my shirt says, it's here in Florida. And they can be grown so easily. I mean, this is a demonstration garden, so they're not really harvesting this stuff back. But I mean, it is quite evident to me that they could be eating lots of food out of this little demonstration garden. So they got some herbs and greens near the edge, and then of course on the back side or the north side, they got the things tall, grown up, and they have a very special variety of dwarf tomato that they recommend for people because it doesn't get too huge. Most tomatoes are indeterminate and they'll just grow as a vine and take over your whole space. But they found a specific variety that I'll be showing with you guys in a little bit that they love growing here, and I've definitely taste tested the tomatoes off it, and they taste amazing. This is the metal demonstration raised bed, and they got one more raised bed I want to show you guys for those of you guys that don't want to bend over. All right, so you guys can see they got this raised bed here, which is the same metal material of the one that I just showed you, but it's a lot taller, so you don't have to bend over. In this raised bed, they have some of my favorite flowers, just nasturtium flowers that are growing beautiful. My nasturtium flowers just succumb to below 32-degree weather in Las Vegas, but their nasturtiums are doing amazing right here. And aside from the nasturtiums having the edible flowers, I want to remind you guys that all the leaves on the nasturtium plant, right, all these beautiful lily pad leaves can be eaten. They are totally good to eat raw. They're not poisonous. They taste kind of peppery, and actually they are anti-cancer and anti-aging because they have the isothiocyanates, the same compounds that the brassica family plants have. And of course, your flowers can be used to dress up a salad as well. All right, next up, I'm gonna go ahead and walk you guys into the nursery area. So they have like a hoop house with a shade cloth on it where they start a lot of the seedlings that they actually sell here. So they start all the veggies that they sell here, some of the herbs and some of the larger plants they actually bring in to sell. And then they have an area with the seeds and an area with some organic fertilizers that they recommend because they grow and promote growing organically here. So let's check out the plants in the nursery. All right, so you guys can see the nursery behind me, and this is the Little River Cooperative. Very important. They're only open Saturday and Sunday from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Don't come on the weekdays. That being said, you guys can check them out if you're up in Miami at the Legion's Park Farmers Market. They're there, I believe, on Saturdays. They can't bring their entire inventory there, but they try to bring a good selection of plants for those of you guys that don't want to take the drive down here. All right, so first I want to show you guys the seeds that they're offering here. Now, very important, the seeds they're offering here aren't just some random seeds, right? Don't go to Walmart here in Miami to buy your seeds because Walmart's just selling seeds they sell all over the United States. Doesn't mean it's going to work for you here in Miami. Meanwhile, if you come to the Little River Cooperative, right, they're going to sell you the seeds that actually they've grown out on their farm, they've grew in gardens, they've gotten customer feedback. They know that these crops, when planted at the appropriate time, will work great for you guys, and you guys will actually be eating out of your garden instead of eating some kind of bolting lettuce that you got from Walmart. So they got a couple different kinds. They got the Kitazawa seeds, they got the Plant Good Seeds brand, they got the Southern Exposure Seed Exchange, and of course they have their own house brand where they actually harvest and save the seeds that they grow here and will sell to you. Very important, right? Just because I mentioned these brands, don't go to their website and buy any old seeds that they got on their website, because once again, they've hand-selected certain varieties that will grow here. So for example, of their house brand, my favorite ones that they sell are the cranberry hibiscus and the roselle, right? I highly encourage you guys to grow those. They grow as like more perennial. You can eat the leaves, you can harvest the flowers. They're amazing. They also got, like, of course, the Everglades cherry tomato, another one of their house brands that they grew very here. That's the best tomato, and I'll show you the second best in a minute. The tomatoes that you guys could grow here that are going to succeed and probably even grow year round for you. So they got lots of different of the Asian greens from the Kitazawa seed. A lot of those are heat tolerant because they are from Southeast Asia, which is very similar climate to what you guys have here in South Florida. So very important, get the right seeds. They got them here. So while this is mostly a nursery and they sell some seeds, right, they also have a few gardening products or organic gardening products they would recommend to you to grow your plants organically. Some of these can be hard to find, and not just any old big box retailer will sell them, so they're gonna bring them to you. They work with a local worm farmer to bring you guys some local worm castings and local compost. They recommend Sustain Naturally organic fertilizer, as well as a Neptune's organic crab lobster meal and organic kelp, as well as some organic liquid fertilizers. And that's what I learned really in the class here. Much like me, I recommend using a foliar feed during your growing season to basically boost your plants up, especially in Las Vegas where I live. It's critically important you do that regularly throughout the growing season, because the plants are getting stressed out, right, with the sun and the 100-degree weather in Las Vegas, right? And when you feed them every 2 weeks, they're going to produce larger, they're going to produce better, and it's going to help remediate some of the stress that the plant's getting. Likewise, they recommend foliar feeding here every 2 weeks, right, to supplement your plants, to give them the nutrients they need to produce good, bountiful harvest through their leaves, and of course, some of it's going to drench into the soil as well. But that's a much better way to feed your plants because the plant can now absorb things instead of having to go through the root system, which can take longer. So yeah, this is the recommended fertilizer. They got a few different Neptune's harvest, and of course they have a couple different gardening tools that they like a lot as well. All right, so you're lucky I got the whole nursery to myself, so I'm gonna give you guys a personal tour. Let's head in the nursery and show you guys some of my favorite plants you guys want to grow here in Miami area. All right, so here in the nursery, they got many different sections. So they have a medicinal herb section, they have a culinary herb section, they got an edible flower and a cut flower, as well as the standard vegetable crops that you guys can grow. I can't share with you guys every single plant. I'd be here all day, but I want to highlight a few that caught my eye that I thought were really interesting, that may be harder to find or I haven't seen elsewhere, or some special varieties that'll grow really well here in South Florida. So number one, this is the this is literally called the toilet paper plant, guys, right here. So should there be another pandemic and they're out of toilet paper, hey, plant one of these. You could be wiping your butt. This is actually quite soft, right? Smells nice too. Wipe your butt with a toilet paper plant just in case the next pandemic happens. Or even better, you want to save your money and stop buying toilet paper and instead grow it yourself. So one of the things I like about this nursery is that they have these tags. There's one of these tags on every single plant. I've been to nurseries before that they might have little tags in the little pot and tell you what it is, but they really go into detail, like, you know, days to maturity. If it's an annual, they'll tell you if it's a perennial, like it'll grow year round. The plant spacing, how you know, far apart to plant them, how much sun exposure you need. You know, watch out for the bugs that'll actually attack it. So they tell you, you know, what's going to attack this plant, so you could watch out for these bugs and be proactive to prevent them, or if you see them, you could take care of them. Some of the plants actually have no watch out for, so maybe they're like pest resistant, which is nice. And then they say harvesting. As needed, plant will stay bushy if it is pruned often. So you could basically harvest them and prune them as you need them. So maybe put your composting toilet right next to your whole grove of your toilet paper plants. And then they have a little write-up, a nice write-up on every single plant as well. So, you know, this nursery really makes it easy for beginners to kind of get to know these plants if you've never been to a nursery or don't know them, you know, from previous experience. So that I really love a lot. All right, so next plant I want to cover is one actually I didn't know was edible, and neither did they about 4 years ago. This is the begonia, right? And these begonias are beautiful. I didn't know the begonias, the flowers, are edible. So you can just harvest the flowers and you can eat them. It kind of tastes like sour grass, but like more sour. So I wouldn't say these are my favorite tasting flowers, but they are definitely beautiful. So this is one edible flower you might want to grow, and it's going to grow as a nice big bush. All right, so the next crop, I was surprised to see that they have it here. This is the vanilla orchid. And I grew vanilla orchids one time in my bathroom, because that was like where it was most humid in my house. But you guys could grow them here in South Florida. They will probably need hand pollination, but I like that they actually sell them here, so you guys can have your own vanilla beans. They definitely prefer the shade, and they'll tell you, you know, where they like to grow. And it actually will take about a minimum of 3 years to grow your own vanilla beans. Now, most of the plants here at the nursery, aside from some of the specialty ones such as the vanilla bean, some of the larger pots they have, you know, are all standard one price. And there's a few like the lettuces that are actually less expensive than the other vegetable plants. I always love coming to nursery because every time I come to nursery, I learn something new. And this is something new I wanted to share with you as well. So this is actually the wild cosmos. So you guys can see it has the wild cosmos flowers, which are nice. These are nice edible flowers. Well, it tastes all right. They taste kind of flowery. Not super bitter, so definitely better than the other the begonias that I just had. But the cool thing about this is that they're saying you can eat the leaves on this plant. So you could harvest the wild cosmos leaves to eat as like greens. Now they do say that if you grow this in the shade, they're gonna be a lot more tender and mild than if you grow them in full sun. We're gonna go ahead and try this on camera for you guys. I mean, it definitely don't taste like lettuce. What I'm gonna say is, whoa, really nice flavor on that actually. So if you like the edible chrysanthemum shinguku like leaves, you're gonna like the cosmos leaves because it has like a complex, I'm gonna say complex flavor, a tad bit astringent, but actually this is really good. I'm gonna be sure to be growing the wild cosmos on my property now because I came to the Little River Co-op. All right, so you guys can see we're in their basically leafy green vegetable non-lettuce section, and they have a lot of different greens you guys can grow here. I'm quite impressed on how many greens you can grow here in South Florida. So they got some of the different bok choys and pak choys. They got mixed mustard greens. They got different kinds of arugula, wild arugula, red vein sorrel, standard sorrel, red vein dandelion. They mainly sell the plants in two different ways. They sell them in the 6-packs here, which definitely is a better value if you have time to wait. But these are like the really mini 6s. That being said, if you guys got a lot more money than time, I would recommend you guys buy the little 4-inch pots. Not everything is offered in 4-inch pots. All right, next up, more leafy greens. I want you guys to grow your own greens, harvest them and eat them. You're gonna save lots of money and even get a lot healthier because of it. And the greens are gonna taste a lot better that you grew yourself, then those are the ones that they're shipping in all the way from California here to South Florida. They're a week, 2 weeks, maybe even older. They taste bitter, they taste terrible. Here in the nice Florida sun, they're gonna taste a tad bit sweeter and be more delicious and actually even more nutritious for you. And of course, they have more of their vegetable plants. This is the nice 4-inch pots in here. They got the different rainbow chard. They got the standard collard greens. I'd recommend the Georgia collard, the rainbow kale, curly kale, and sprillighetto, which is a really cool, unique kale variety. So now we're in the section with all the lettuces, and they almost have a dozen different varieties of tried and true lettuces that you guys can grow here in South Florida. Got to make sure you get the right variety, because some varieties will be wonky here in Florida with the warmer weather, but they have the ones that will grow really well. This one happens to be the Cherokee salad bowl lettuce, and I really love that a lot of these varieties are the reddish color. My personal opinion on that is because the red varieties, right, it's like a dark-skinned person. Dark-skinned people are more resistant to burning from the sun because they got the pigment, right, the melanin in their skin. Same thing, the lettuces that are red are more resistant to the sun because they got the anthocyanins that makes them, you know, the purple or the reddish color. I want you guys who are really into your health to grow the purple vegetables whenever possible. Not only do they, you know, deal with the sun better, they're also a lot more nutritious. A link down below to the video I want you guys to watch on why every gardener should grow some purple vegetables. So I really love that a lot of their vegetables, actually most of their varieties of lettuces here are purple. And the cool thing about the lettuce is that they are even less expensive. These are only $2.50 per a 4-inch, which is actually quite a good deal. So one of the things I learned this trip was that the Salanova lettuce, and they got the, you know, standard red and the green, or the green-red Salanova lettuce. The Salanova lettuces are basically kind of like dwarf lettuces, if you want to call them that, right? The leaves don't get super huge like other romaine lettuces. So if you really love the tenderness of the, you know, spring mix and those little baby lettuces, those lettuces are normally harvested early. They're quite tender, they mold and rot really quick. So when you buy them at Costco, like I know you guys are, they're like just rotten because the cells haven't like formed well and the cellular structure hasn't formed well. They rot quick. But the Salanova lettuce, the leaves stay small, but the leaves get more mature and they're more resistant to, you know, storage and store longer for you. So I'm really glad that they're actually growing the Salanova and especially pushing the purple ones, which are some of my favorite. So while they have about 8 different tomato varieties at this point in the season, I'm gonna highlight basically only 2 of them for you, the 2 that are gonna be most successful for you, that they like to promote the most. That being said, I will tell you guys that most of the tomatoes they are promoting and selling here and offering are the smaller cherry style or smaller tomatoes, medium size, not the big heirlooms that can be more challenging to grow here in South Florida. So the first variety is one that I haven't actually heard before, and this is actually called the Tidy Treats Dwarf Tomato. So while this is a indeterminate tomato and will grow as a vine, they stay rather small, so they're more like a determinate because they stay small and they make these nice little cherry-sized tomatoes. So this is what they had in their demonstration garden that I showed you guys earlier, and they tasted amazing. So I really love that they're really promoting this for people that have a backyard and don't have a lot of space to grow a big tomato, and they don't want to, you know, sit there and trellis it or put it on a string and waste their time pruning it and all these things, because things grow quick here in South Florida. So pick up some of these guys, the Tidy Treats tomato. They got them in the 4-inch, and then they actually have nice, more robust plants in the 1 gallon. I would actually encourage you guys to get the gallon. This reminds me of, you know, in Las Vegas, they usually sell the patio tomato. I really like the growth habit of this. Like the stalk is looking nice, super thick, and it doesn't grow upright too quick. And you guys can see even this 1 gallon is already loaded with a whole bunch of fruit, like a whole rack there and a whole rack up here, and it's starting even another one right there. So a nice productive tomato for South Florida. Tidy Treats. All right, so the next tomato I want to show you guys is my favorite for growing here in South Florida. It's the Everglades cherry tomato. Link down below to my video when I originally found out about the Everglades cherry tomato. Completely amazing. I mean, they found this supposedly in the Everglades, just growing wild. So if it grows wild in the Everglades, if you guys get out of the way, you guys could grow it on your own property. Once again, it makes very small tomatoes, smaller than the Tidy Treats, but it's prolific and can even grow year round. So they got nice little, you know, 4-inch starts here for you guys to buy. And of course, if you guys want to save money, you guys could buy the seeds that they sell here that they actually grew on the property. All right, next up, I want to show you guys some of the different eggplant varieties. You know, they grow the Hansel eggplant, the Gretel eggplant. So they got the Hansel and Gretel eggplant, the pink tongue eggplant, the fairy tale eggplant. You know, and I want to encourage you guys, since you guys live here in South Florida, I want you guys to adapt to the crops that are gonna grow better here, right? Most people try to adapt the crop that they're used to growing in the north, like the lettuce, to grow here, which can be done if you grow the right variety, right? But why struggle with something when you could have a much easier time growing a crop that really likes this particular weather, which, yeah, tomatoes could hang, but eggplants are even easier because they don't mind the heat at all, right? They can handle the heat, grow some eggplants, get to love it, get to love them. I've learned how to love eggplants more since I moved to the desert, and they are one of the best crops to grow in the desert for me. And if you want to know how to cook them the healthiest way possible, link down below to my video where I showed you guys how I put the eggplants in the Instant Pot to just minimally cook them, keep the most nutrition, especially when you get the purple eggplants. They're rich in anthocyanin content that are super healthy for you. All right, the last category of fruiting crops I want to show you guys today are the peppers, right? And likewise, I found the banana peppers one of the best varieties to grow in Las Vegas. It's a very durable variety, doesn't mind the heat so much. And I'm really glad to see that they're actually promoting it and selling it here too. The banana pepper, right, really loves the heat, can handle it, loves this climate as well. Otherwise, they wouldn't be selling it. I do not encourage you guys to be growing bell peppers, a lot harder. And a lot of the peppers that I've noticed that they're selling here are smaller type peppers. They're not the super hunkin' large peppers that you might grow up north, right? So some of the other peppers they recommend here are the Himo Togarashi pepper, Shishito pepper, Helios pepper, and the red Thai chili. All right, the last section I want to show you guys today here at the nursery is the herb section. I want you guys to grow some herbs here, especially the culinary herbs, which can get quite expensive, and they're one of the easiest things to grow here in South Florida. Like the oregano, you plant one oregano once and you're going to basically have it forever. You can see the oregano that I showed you guys a little bit earlier. Of course, same thing with the sage and the rosemary. You know, they have the specific varieties that are going to really do well here. And when you guys grow the oregano, right, you just harvest a little bit for the flavoring, right? Growing the herbs is going to save you guys the most money, and more importantly, if you're a chef, it's going to get you the highest flavor, and the return on your investment is going to be the best. You know, some things I don't even bother growing because it's cheaper to buy. But in the case of herbs and leafy greens, if you guys are concerned about saving the most money and taking the biggest chunk out of your grocery bill so you don't have to buy things at the grocery store, I want to encourage you guys to grow the herbs and pick up some of the herbs and pick up some of the leafy green vegetables. They are the easiest to grow and going to save you the most money. So they have a whole nice selection of culinary herbs here that are going to grow great in South Florida. So while the nursery here focuses on like the smaller herbs and vegetables, they do have some larger plants in like 1 gallon and 3 gallon pots. This is one that you should probably grow as a shrub that is used as a landscape plant in many cases. This is called the Barbados cherry. Makes these nice little cherry-like fruits you guys could eat. They got allspice and they got a few other, you know, plants you could grow more as a landscape, more as a perennial plant. And I'm sure this selection can change, you know, seasonally, depending on what is in season. So I'd encourage you guys to get some of these larger plants, you know, if you got a nice space to grow them, where they could just be planted in the front of your yard and once again, provide you food and, you know, be perennial, right? Hopefully one day I'll get back here in the summertime where I'll be able to show you with you guys all the different perennial and summer plant starts, because in the summer, they have a whole different selection of plants and vegetables you guys could grow. Some of the herbs might stay the same, but they'll have different kinds of, you know, Malabar spinaches and Egyptian spinaches and all the different greens that'll grow in the summertime. And once again, because you're not used to Southeast Asia crops, right, you got to come here in the summer and then buy your crops for the summer, you know, probably starting around May or June to plant before the heat of the summer, right? You're not going to be eating lettuce in the summer here in South Florida, but you will be eating these other mild greens. And one of my favorite is the Bailey tree, or Ahubiscus manohat, also called the salad tree. And they have actually a really nice example of a salad tree, a couple salad trees growing at the other side of the property. You know, it's my hope that they start to sell some of these more perennial plants year-round instead of just in the season, because these plants will grow year-round. That being said, they may not grow as well in the wintertime when it's a little bit colder, when some of these plants expect it nice and warm. The final thing I'd like to say about the Little River Co-op here is that while you can DIY and come down and buy your own plants and plant them in your garden, if you guys don't have the experience or knowledge, or you don't have the know-how or wanting to do it, right? Number one, they're going to teach you. They give classes several times a year, so get on their email list, link down below to that. And if you still don't want to learn and do the work yourself, right, you could hire them and they will come in and put in and design a garden for you, so you can just pay them, and they'll even do the upkeep and maintenance if that's what you want as well, so that you guys can start eating the food out of your own yard instead of going to the grocery store and buying the food and being a slave to the produce industry. I really hope that you guys enjoyed the field trip here today to the Little River Cooperative, so you guys can see how to grow lettuce and other greens here in South Florida. If you guys want to learn about the Little River Cooperative, you can visit them at littlerivercooperative.com. Links down below in the description as well. If you guys enjoyed this episode, want more episodes here at the Little River Cooperative, hey, please be sure to give this video a big thumbs up. More importantly, share this with other Floridians that are trying to grow lettuce in Florida, so that they can learn the right techniques, the right plants to grow, so that they can be successful too. Also, be sure to click that subscribe button right down below so you don't miss out on my new upcoming episodes. I've come in every 5 to 7 days. You never know where I'll show up or what you'll be learning on my YouTube channel. Make sure you click the little bell so you get notified as my new videos come out. And finally, be sure to check my past episodes. My past episodes are a wealth of knowledge. Over 1,800 episodes at this time on the channel dedicated to you guys all about how to grow your own food at home. I'll put links down below in the description to some of the videos I've made in the past in South Florida that are directly applicable to people in this climate zone. So with that, my name is John Kohler with growingyourgreens.com. We'll see you next time, and until then, remember, keep on growing.